Elite football today is enforced down to the millimeter. Video assistant referees analyze multiple high-definition camera angles to track offside margins, handballs, and foul play in real time. Long before server racks and slow-motion replays, the sport's earliest ancestors relied on a similar level of strict discipline. Over 2,300 years ago, soldiers during China's Han Dynasty practiced a game called Cuju. Designed for military training, Cuju required players to pass a leather ball filled with feathers through a tiny net. To build coordination and teamwork, players were strictly prohibited from using their hands. The European lineage of the sport grew out of a much more volatile tradition. The ancestors of the modern game developed through a centuries-long period of total, unchecked chaos. By the 11th century, football in medieval England had become a massive, communal free-for-all. Matches often involved hundreds of players from rival villages facing off simultaneously. These games lacked painted lines or out-of-bounds markers. A single match surged across miles of countryside, tearing through fields and spilling into crowded town squares. The lack of a formal rulebook meant players could kick, push, and carry the ball with their hands. In this environment, brute force was more effective than any athletic technique. This level of public disruption led several English kings to ban the game outright. Without a way to contain the violence, the sport remained a local menace, incapable of spreading beyond isolated regional pockets. The turning point arrived in London in 1863. Representatives from various regional clubs met to establish the Football Association. Their objective was to draft a single, standardized set of rules that could govern all clubs, engineering the localized pastime into a legitimate athletic competition. This meeting functioned as a technical bottleneck. For the game to scale, the localized violence of the past had to be replaced by a single definitive rulebook. The association's first major intervention banned carrying the ball with the hands. This restriction forced a permanent divergence from the sport of rugby. By limiting control to the feet, the game required spacing and passing, which immediately reduced the number of violent physical collisions. Next, the FA standardized the physical environment. They mandated specific field dimensions and defined exact measurements for goalposts. Defining these boundaries confined the action to a strategic arena, protecting surrounding property and focusing the game on skill rather than endurance. To enforce these new boundaries, the FA introduced free kicks and fair play regulations. These rules ensured that brawling tactics now carried a significant on-field penalty. By isolating the game's mechanics and making it safe to play, these specific rules provided the foundational framework for the sport we recognize today. This portable rulebook allowed the sport to travel. In the late 1800s, British merchants and sailors introduced these specific regulations to ports in Brazil, Argentina, and Germany. To manage this rapid growth, FIFA was founded in Paris in 1904. Their mission was to enforce the 1863 standards internationally, ensuring a match played in South America followed the exact same rules as one in Europe. This oversight allowed for the first FIFA World Cup in 1930. Uruguay's packed Estadio Centenario proved that the sport had successfully transitioned from a regional curiosity to a massive international event. Uruguay's 4-2 victory over Argentina demonstrated that a single set of rules could unite disparate nations in a common, safe competition. Today, professional leagues operate in more than 200 countries, supported by a global infrastructure that reaches billions of fans. This unified structure provided the stage for global icons like Pelé, whose skill could be appreciated by any audience, because the mechanics of the game were identical everywhere. It allowed athletes like Diego Maradona to become cultural legends, transcending the sport and reaching a global audience of millions. Modern stadiums now stand where muddy village fields once were, supported by multi-billion-dollar broadcasting deals and advanced sports science. The 1863 rulebook provided the necessary common language for this growth. By settling on a single set of boundaries, the association created a portable format that could survive the leap from local villages to a global stage.